Is the release of prisoners included in the peace treaty with Azerbaijan? Look, perceptions of the peace treaty, certain comments in Azerbaijan and certain comments in Armenia, they seem to mirror each other. Because in Armenia there is a view that the peace treaty should resolve all possible issues. And in Azerbaijan, there is a view that the peace treaty should resolve all possible issues. Specifically, is there a point that the peace treaty should resolve the issue of captives, hostages, other held persons? In my opinion, it is the peace treaty that should solve that issue, regardless of whether it is literally written there or not. Because a peace treaty means a different atmosphere, different relations. We should not approach it that way. What are we saying today? We are saying that 80% of the peace treaty, including with statements made by Azerbaijan, has been agreed upon. We're saying, let us sign what is agreed and move on to the rest, the issues that have not been agreed so far. But there's a view that, no, unless everything is agreed or all the articles are agreed, that treaty should not be signed. And I'm sorry, how many articles should it have? Look, there's an announcement that no peace treaty will be signed until all the articles are agreed. And how many articles should there be in that treaty? I will give you an example. There is an article that has not been agreed upon, which was proposed by Azerbaijan just some months ago. Can they explain this subtlety? Let's say there is a certain number of articles. Are they all agreed? One party may say, there is one more article and we also have to agree on that. And we can. And it may turn out later that there is one more article that needs to be agreed. In other words, nowhere is it written that the peace treaty must have 25 articles and cannot have 17 articles or 15 or 14 or 13. The problem here is about political will. And I repeat, let us say, for example, that 25 articles are agreed. It is not a treaty unless it is signed. It is a draft. And one party may always say, wait a minute, there's Article 26, which is extremely important to us. We will not sign until we reach agreement on that article. Very well, we can agree on that. But it may turn out that there is also Article 27. And one of the parties may say that unless we agree on this, we consider it pointless to sign that agreement. And we can agree on it as well. And then there's number 28, 29, number 30, 40, 50, 60. The fact of the matter is that in the world there is not a single peace agreement. And there is no agreement that answers all possible questions. What we say is, whatever is agreed can become a framework, can have framework significance for peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Yes, it can. And we say, let us sign it. And the articles 28, 29, 30, 40, we can discuss them, because after signing, the atmosphere, the environment for discussing these articles, everything will change. And if without the peace treaty, it is hard to agree upon these articles. If we have not agreed so far, it means they are difficult, and after the peace principles are determined, it may, or it certainly will become clear that it's much easier to agree. The problem here, I repeat, is one of political will, the will to sign peace. Or Azerbaijan constantly says that in Armenia's constitution there are territorial claims on Azerbaijan. What do they mean? We assume what they mean is the reference in the preamble of the Constitution of Armenia to the Declaration of Independence, which refers to the decision of the National Council of Nagorno-Karabakh and the Supreme Council of Armenia on the reunification of Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia. Is there such a thing in the Declaration of Independence? Yes, there is. Does it mean that this content is expressed in the Constitution? There is no such thing written in the Constitution, and it does not mean that this content is expressed. Why do I think this? Because the Declaration of Independence contains Article 5, which reads that the Republic of Armenia shall create armed forces, security bodies, etc., under the Supreme Council to ensure its security. According to the Declaration of Independence, all law enforcement bodies of Armenia are subject to the Supreme Council. But in 1995, when the Constitution was adopted, all law enforcement agencies were placed under the authority of the President of the Republic. Did the Constitution contradict the Declaration of Independence? Yes, it did. And therefore, the contents of the Declaration of Independence, which is expressed literally, has been reflected in the Constitution, and vice versa. When we look at the Constitution of Azerbaijan, we see that there are in it territorial claims on Armenia. How so? Their constitution refers to the 1991 Act, I believe it's called the Act of State Independence. The Act of State Independence in turn refers to the First Republic of Azerbaijan of 1918 to 1920, and the declaration of the First Republic of Azerbaijan. And that declaration reads that Azerbaijan is founded on the territory of southern and eastern Transcaucasia. Apart from that, in 1919, Azerbaijan officially presented a map of its territory to the Entente States and to the League of Nations, and that map includes the entire Syunik and Vayotdzor Marzes regions of the Republic of Armenia, a part of the Ararat region, a part of the Tavush region, a part of the Lori region, and a part of the Shirak region. Now this is an obvious territorial claim against Armenia, but we do not raise this issue. We are not saying that Azerbaijan must change its constitution for a peace treaty to be signed. Why? Why? Because there is an article in the agreed part of the peace treaty that says neither party may invoke its domestic law for failing to fulfill its obligations under this agreement. We consider that this article solves this issue. What is Azerbaijan now saying? It is saying that no agreement may contradict the constitution. We say, yes, you are right, that's very good. Once that agreement is signed, we will send it to the Constitutional Court to check its constitutionality. If the Constitutional Court decides that this agreement contradicts the Constitution, we will say, so be it. But if the Constitutional Court decides that it does not contradict the Constitution, it will be sent to the National Assembly and will get ratified. Once ratified, in accordance with paragraph 3 of Article 5 of the current Constitution of Armenia, international treaties ratified in the Republic of Armenia take precedence over the Armenian legislation. In other words, a ratified international treaty is higher than the law of the Republic of Armenia. And if the treaty has been ratified, then it does not contradict the Constitution. An undertaken obligation, in particular the obligation that the Republic of Armenia and Azerbaijan have no territorial claims against each other, and they undertake not to raise such territorial claims in the future, it becomes essentially de jure a provision with the highest legal force.